We should have had that. Okay.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Independent Producers Organization Live Showcase. And we've got a great show because we got some great people here tonight. And we're going to get right into it. My left is Rich Unrich,
Too rich.
Katie Wilson, my co-host Bruce Broussard.
There I am.
And I think I want Katie to tell a little bit about her business. So
Okay.
that's our first matter today.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Dick, for asking me to come on the show. Dick and I have known each other for a number of years, and so he still calls me Katie.
Oh, really?
I do actually go by Kat these days.
Okay.
The business I have is called Positiva, and it's located in Portland, Oregon. And we have a business that does, basically, it works with normal neurotics.
Our favorite kind of people.
Yeah, it's, we do a number of different things. We do everything that helps the person enrich their lives.
Yeah.
And it's a real pleasure to be a witness to the beauty of something like that. So we do things like hypnotherapy, we do neurolinguistic programming, we do coaching,
Wow.
Wait,
and we do creative things.
Katie, you got to stop at that NL.
NLP.
You gotta talk about that just a little bit.
Would you like to hear me talk about NLP?
Well,
Neuro-linguistic programming.
Okay.
Well, I tell
all
you.
right. All right.
Yeah, I barely speak English. Maybe I might help out myself.
Oh,
Will you help me out this
It's like the software of the mind. It's actually
Ah.
started out as a study of excellence in human behavior.
Okay.
Okay.
So how do people do what they do, and how do they do it with excellence?
Oh, okay. Oh, that's interesting.
It really is the art and science of human excellence. I mean, when you were born, did a manual pop out with the baby?
I know I did.
So here's how to raise Bruce.
I know I did. It was midwife. Yeah, I did the midwife. Yeah, I did
Here's
the
how to
midwife.
raise this
This
child.
is right, exactly.
Right. So neurolinguistic programming is wonderful because you see,
Interesting.
so many times we have these ideas that we want to be able to experience, and we experience them through all forms of, what goes on inside of your life. What you see, what you hear, what you taste, what you smell, what you feel, and every now and then, something that surprises you leaves kind of like a mark. Sort of like a, that was experience that you might have come up for you later on. My mouse, please. It's,
Cats have to have their mice.
cats have to have their mice.
Okay.
It's like that. But neurolinguistic programming helps the person to learn how they do what they're doing and the things that they don't want to do, how to stop it, and how to change their belief systems, how to work with something that makes them feel more comfortable in their own skin, to live more fuller lives.
You won a grant or something for
Oh,
that.
I won a big award.
Yeah,
did.
I thought
did.
that was just great.
She won a World Community Award for excellence in NLP in education.
So
Yeah, that was
you're
presented
the
in
person to
Montreal.
ask
She's
about
the
it.
person. She's won.
Yeah, that was quite an honor. I received that, I think it was in 2000, was it 2005?
2005.
2005, and that was
Yeah.
in Montreal, Canada. And there have been 4 people who received that award, and I was one. And I
Okay.
don't think the awards come out since that time.
Well, as a lay person, would you mind sharing with us exactly what was the award about?
Sure.
Okay.
The award was making a difference in the lives of people, and actually mine was working with children and helping children overcome the fear of speaking and helping them to feel more confident when they did speak and when they went into their school projects and things like that. So it was the work that I did over a period of 10 years.
Really?
Yeah.
And how she finished it up, was that she took those children and she put them on cable access television.
Really?
And they
Yeah.
actually ran their own show.
Yeah.
Any of them were from Portland Public Schools? Boy, we were always hearing this issue about the problems at Portland Public Schools with the kids.
I wish I could say yes, but at the time we were doing that through the Tualatin Valley
Really?
right.
Community
Wow.
Access. So
Wow.
over a period of about 10 or 12 years, actually. Huh?
That's right. We did some shows that were so incredible. You just can't believe
Is
it.
that right?
The kids, everybody, they did everything. And I've got one that I keep putting on periodically.
Really?
It's just an excellent show. And she would organize them at the schools get them geared up, right? So
Yeah.
that when they came to the studio, they were all already with it.
Yeah.
Well, that hands-on stuff is
was hands-on.
very important.
And in all fairness to her too, a lot of those children were in the classes. It was a remedial class.
Yes.
They were the ones that weren't really comfortable with themselves and
Right.
didn't know how to really express
Wow,
themselves.
boy, that was-
She helped them learn how to do it together using some of the skills of neurolinguistic programming, how to be present, how to know what you're doing, how to anchor in certain states. And she did it so well that when she got put up for the award, the person who gave the award actually told me, as kind of just whispered over the phone to me, he says, of all the people winning an award, she says, my favorite is that woman out in Portland, Oregon.
Really?
Yeah.
That was
Wow.
nice.
And that was
Wow.
Leslie Cameron Bandler, who was one of the creators of neurolinguistic programming
Wow.
in the
wow.
background.
So
That
you
was
got the
nice.
award, and then I take it. Did they keep the concept? Is it what is it? Is it a visual now? Or is it is it packaged? That someone might be able to access that.
It's
Is it
probably
one time?
probably several hundred changed children who grew up into adults.
Wow.
That's the product.
Wow.
And I have to say I was a witness to their becoming that
Really?
greatness. So it's a real privilege to witness
Wow.
somebody making
Wow.
those kind of
Wow.
changes.
Wow, it's very
Yeah.
interesting. And the only reason why I brought that up is that when I always mentioned Portland, Oregon, it's kind of like the major city, if you will, of issues within our state. Okay, and there was an entity that they started about Head Start. It was called Head Start for the kids. Basically before they got into the system,
Yeah.
if you will. And one of the concerns was the fact that a lot of these kids, because they were left behind, the idea is that then eventually they would be getting in, they were trying to address the issues of the gangs and the problems with kids and this, that, and the other. So the idea is you catch the kids ahead of time. You get my point? And I was always concerned about the fact.
Well, what you're talking about
Was that-
is helping with the kids in some respect for that. The kids learned how to honor each other, and they also learned how to look at each other and give positive feedback.
Interesting.
There was a wonderful little welcome that I taught all the kids, and that was the I see you.
Oh, that's a
You
really
remember
good-
that?
Okay.
Oh,
Awesome.
it was fabulous.
Really?
So when you look at a person, you look at them, and the kids practice this in the
Huh.
class so that they had
Really?
this connection. So here's what it was. You look at another person and you really deeply appreciate where they came from. You think to yourself, they may have had to come from a family, a difficult situation. It may have been a stressful day. And when you look at them with great appreciation. And then you say, I see you. And the other person says,
I see you.
well, actually, they say, I am here.
Oh.
And then that person looks at the other one and says, looking with deep appreciation, I see you. And then they respond, it is good to be seen.
Wow.
And they shake hands. This is about seeing the person and not, any of the other things that can get in the way, and really deeply appreciating them. This brings a lot of confidence. But confidence is something that we do things like hypnosis and NLP. Both of those are so amazingly inspiring, and it really brings out the person. Yeah.
You're right. We haven't gotten into hypnosis as much as we should right now.
Maybe not. Do you want to know something about it?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
do?
I'd like to. Yes. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah. So what
I had to tell
questions do you
someone
have?
out in the front desk at the studio. I said, "No, you are in control when you're being hypnotized.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it isn't like you lose all control. No, you're in control, but the person that's hypnotizing you is trying to help you.
Right.
Now, they get it confused with what they've seen on some stage show.
Right.
Well, that's
It's
right.
not that at all. Clinical
That's the
hypnotherapy, which
problem.
is what we teach and what we do, clinical hypnotherapy is about helping a person to know what they want, finding out what they're doing that's not allowing them to get that, and then by a use of an altered state, creating, i.e. hypnosis, getting into an altered state, then with the right kinds of relaxation and positive suggestion, working with the other unconscious mind and then helping them move forward and be able to get that. So we don't do anything, as you said, that would take control away from them. In fact, we're actually giving them more control. It's a hyper state of creativity. So it's allowing them
Yeah.
to use their creative mind, their alpha states, and to be able to decide what they want, how they would know if they got it, and then helping them to do it. People do it in sports, even if they're not being hypnotized. They're practicing doing guided visualization, seeing themselves excel. We help people to do it in everyday life. What is it they want? How would they excel? And then feed it back to their
Interesting.
unconscious so they can do that.
Well, the
Interesting.
coach is usually trying to get them to do as much as they possibly can.
Sure.
Well, so it's like that.
Interesting.
Well, you've been hypnotized.
You know,
You remember how wonderful it felt?
well, I was asleep every time.
It felt like he was asleep. Yeah.
That's right.
And
No problem.
yeah, it is very relaxing, but it's not actually sleep. You know, you
Okay.
feel like maybe you're gone for a little while, but it's actually deep relaxation unless the person is really exhausted. If they haven't been sleeping and they get so relaxed, and as a matter of fact, a lot of people come in because they can't go to sleep.
Right.
And they say, I haven't slept in 24
Really?
hours, 48 hours. They have struggles with that.
Or they have insomnia, they only sleep a few hours every night, and they want to learn what that pattern is and how to change it.
Yeah.
Interesting. As opposed to the opioids, remember? The pills.
Yeah, exactly.
All those
Those
Yeah,
are the
we do it
pills.
without drugs.
Without
do it
drugs.
without drugs, right.
That's interesting.
And you see, we teach clinical hypnotherapy and neurolinguistic programming, and we actually teach them together.
Yeah. And she has a
So-
board-certified coaching program too. You mentioned coaching. We work
You're
with
right.
that.
This
Wow.
is true.
Wow.
This is true.
Better visit the VA. Because we're constantly discussing this in seminars
Yeah.
Yeah.
and sessions, you know, among vets. A lot of them are having problems with sleeping
Yeah.
because they're getting these dreams and things of that nature.
Right.
Post-traumatic
Yeah,
stress
it's post-traumatic stress, right?
Yeah.
But the definition of it is that, like you said, you know, you want to try to keep it as simple as one can be, you know, with a smile, and that's been kind of the thing that I was kind of concerned with, because a lot of the guys would get irritated when we were discussing about their issues. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
and something like this would be I think would be of support to help them out, because otherwise they're taking all these opioids and they get addicted.
Yeah.
And then they got these other pills that they take, and then they're alcoholics, and then
Yeah.
it's really
Well, this is a very natural way, and everybody has the ability to get some piece of this. When you find that you've tried everything else, that's a lot of times when we find people giving us a call.
Well, you know, he mentioned about sometimes they have a hard time talking about issues.
yes.
They do.
In NLP and
Yeah.
hypnosis, can't you even do it without even bringing all the content out and still do the work well?
That's another one of the benefits is when you're using NLP, you don't have to have all the content. So if they don't want to tell you about it, then what you do is you're basically guiding them through some kind of playful experience where maybe they're walking and we suggest to them they're walking through time to just stop at a certain point, and right when you feel as though maybe there's something uncomfortable, just stop and go there for a moment, and when you get there, let us know, okay, stop and step outside of that, and then pretend there's a plexiglass wall and you're just looking at the old you that was over there. So you're over here, you're safe. But you see what's going on with you over there. So is there anything that you want to notice about that, what you see or what you hear or what you feel? And is there anything that you'd like to tell that you that's over there? And people find that when they can tell themselves something back in time, that they can relieve the pressure. Plus you see it with new eyes. And that's where within NLP we talk about 3 perspectives. When you see through the first one, it's I am. The second one is you, as though you're talking between you and me. And the third one is really a person who is outside,
Like an observer.
an observer type of person. Like if there was somebody who was at the bus stop and they saw 2 people talking, that would be an observer. But if you step into another view, you see the scene changes because you have different frames, you have different perspectives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this long lasting? I mean, is this something? What I mean by long lasting is that I've got a dream. You know, I'm having problems with this situation. I'm constantly doing it over and over and over. If you go through this particular process, that's it?
For
Or
most
does
people.
one have
There
to-
can, some of those things can be cleared quite quickly. Other things may take a few sessions or some work on it to do it, like many things in life. But yeah, some of them can change quite quick. And others, you know, maybe they got something that's on a scale of 0 to 10 is a 10 right now, and it can maybe do work with them. Maybe it drops to an 8, That's better than a 10.
Yeah.
Next time they come in, it drops down to a 5. And then all of a sudden it's a 4, now it's a 2. So it may take some incremental work, but they're noticing change every time they do it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You know, some of my very, very favorite stories are about children and what they can do,
Sure.
because they have imagination. And if you have imagination and you have conviction and you believe it might be possible for you, then you're willing to give it a try.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah. So I remember one little girl who came in to me, who came in from Dornbecker, and she was being treated for cancer. And she was very much afraid of having shots and things like that. And because she was going to have to put a port in, and that's usually done with surgery, and then lots of shots and lots of other things. She was just very, very anxious. And really, by using the hypnosis along with the NLP, we came up with a couple different views of what it would be like when you're sitting there and when people are doing things with you. And I believe what she did is she created a scene in a zoo in her mind. And so she'd start to see the big burly doctor as a gorilla come over to her, except he was a funny gorilla. And then there was an anesthesiologist or somebody else who had a long neck. And she would imagine him coming over as a giraffe. And then we just kind of played with that scene, imagining there was a movie playing before you where you got to be in this room with a funny gorilla and a playful giraffe, and I think the nurses were monkeys. I don't know if any nurses are listening, but she had this whole laughing experience about it. So you see, it took the fear out of being in an operating room away, because it's the frame. You know, what do you expect to happen when you go into this room? All these people in white coats who frighten you. They're going to be sticking things to me. They're going to be hurting me. But what would happen if you had a room full of playful gnomes or elves or fairies, and they were all giggling and speaking in high voices?
And
So
if they're
she-
no longer using words like pain, but we're saying, hey, how much discomfort do you have now?
Yeah.
Changing that instead of being, it's poked and stuff, like you feel slight pressure
Yeah.
or touch.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So
Interesting.
it gave a different perspective. So you change the frame, and that changes the feeling of it. And so this is really empowering. This is I love teaching this. I really love teaching this.
Yeah.
Okay.
And of course, people who we teach, they go out and they become hypnotherapists and NLP practitioners, and they can help people in all kinds of scenarios. I mean, the people who come into us are like engineers, they're teachers, they're coaches,
And there are also therapists, all kinds. We have psychotherapists, we have massage therapists,
massage therapists,
we have acupuncturists, we
acupuncturists.
have salespeople, we have housewives. I mean, we get the whole gamut because it's people who just want to work with other people
Yeah,
and to do it in ways that is kind.
really. Yeah, it's if you like people and if you want to make a difference in people's lives, this is a wonderful way to help them wake up to the dream that they've been wanting.
Interesting.
How did that little girl get through her?
She did really, really well. She used to
Okay.
like to come back and tell me the stories about what happened at the zoo. As a matter of fact, she referred to the hospital as the zoo after that.
Oh, okay.
Nice. Yeah, nice.
That's
Awesome.
probably right.
Awesome.
Whole lot
awesome.
Yeah,
Boy,
Yeah.
that's a very interesting
Yeah.
piece.
yeah. So, so there's a lot of different kind of things. People are helped with, they can quit smoking. That's
Yeah.
one session for us usually.
Wait.
Usually.
Weight.
Drinking?
Yes.
Really?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yes.
Boy.
Yeah. I see. It's very satisfying. I go to sleep at night knowing that I helped somebody.
I imagine. No opioids. That's the thing that gets me. You really got my attention here.
Yeah.
Well, there's
I'm
a
going
lot
to
of
share
things.
this with
Sure.
some folks.
There's a
And if
lot
they're
of
already
things
on
you could
opioids,
do.
it may take a little bit getting them off at first, but
That-
sure, then we can work with them. And
That's what I'm saying. see.
absolutely.
Right.
See, we have that's one of the biggest problems we're having
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
Vietnam vets, and especially and the older guys,
Yeah.
because the older guys are really suffering now.
Wow.
And that's why you hear these stories at times that, all of a sudden they get to almost to the deathbed. The kids are never able to talk with them
Right.
or anything of that nature, and so they just passed away.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And so we've got a major interest in those vets. but thank them for
Sure.
their service, because they were not served service well, if you will.
Yeah.
And so I like this point. I want to make sure that I mention this, and
Okay.
and actually they can contact you here.
It's very nice to hear you with such a
Yeah.
kind heart in wanting to help people who have those kind of challenges.
Thank you.
That's what they really need. They
They
need to
need it.
know that someone is willing to listen
That's
and
right.
care.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
And in all due respect, that's basically how I got into the vet situation. I didn't want to go to the VA. I was a Marine and this, that, and the other. But then all of a sudden something happened to my son.
Something happened to your
To my
son?
son, and he committed suicide.
Oh, wow.
And he was a military vet.
Oh.
And had I known what I know today,
Yeah.
I would have gotten him in the program.
Right.
But I didn't. So my job now, the rest of my
Wow.
life,
Wow.
is to go out and help people, help vets.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, you know, just like Rich,
Wow.
anybody that happened to me.
Yeah.
And so my thing now is just, you know, that's what I'm doing now.
That was a
Helping
real
across the board.
defining moment for you there.
Oh, it was. It
I'm
really was.
so sorry to
it
hear
was,
about
it was
your
really
son.
a tough situation. Yeah, it was, you know. So you know, then that's it. Then I'm going to these classes now, and going to these sessions, and it's the same thing. And I'm trying to get them involved. I'm
Yeah.
going to senior citizen centers
Mm-hmm.
and having them identify vets and go to that lunchroom,
Yeah.
center and.
Well, actually, you know,
that's what
there are vets who come to us for hypnosis.
Really?
We've had vets come in to us for a lot of different things. I worked with them doing emotional freedom technique, and I've been a volunteer counselor to do that sort of thing. So there's lots of different ways that you can help them, as well as the population of other people. A lot going on right now.
Well, I'm liking
Did you
it.
say that you had some other questions?
Oh yeah,
over
yeah.
there
Sorry
you
about
also
that.
wanted to
Get
ask
me involved here.
about that.
But I'll follow
So
up
what
on
else?
this piece.
What else did you?
Just what do people ask when they call you? Are they the ones that want
Yeah,
more
yeah, yeah.
have the weight
Like
problem
me,
or the
otherwise-
smoking problem?
Yes.
Yeah, phone calls are fun.
Phone
you
call.
wanna share one?
They cover a whole gamut of things. A lot of times when they call up, they're coming in because they're stressed out about something.
Oh yeah.
And we sometimes when we're teaching classes, we'll just put up on the board and we say we have two things. On one side, we have their current problem. On the other place, here's their desired outcome. And it's like they don't know how to go from their problem to the outcome is the problem. So we help them to be able to break loose of whatever's keeping in the problem, so they can now get to that. And they come in for a little bit of everything. You mentioned
Yeah.
smoking. So we've had so many people over the years that we've helped quit smoking and drop tons of weight. Part of it, help them to handle their stress. They want to focus on goals and they don't seem to be able to move forward. Or they're procrastinating. Help them to focus on that part of it.
That's a good thing
Yeah.
to help with.
Yeah, and one of the really odd ones in a little bit that goes into NLP and hypnosis both, but this is allergy season. So when we start in the
Right.
spring, go into summer, it's
Right.
allergy. But most people don't realize that allergies are a mistake. It's the immune system going haywire and trying to throw everything, including the kitchen sink, at something that's harmless, like a piece of pollen. But it's interesting for most of these people that when they go to sleep at night, their allergies either diminish or sometimes it don't bother them at all.
Right.
So the body knows how, when to have an allergy. It also knows how not to have an allergy. And so you can literally take that time when they're having the allergy and you can re-educate it to have the same responses as when they don't have the symptoms. So there's so many of these things in there with hypnosis and NLP where
Yeah.
we can help the person to retrain their
Here
systems.
we go again.
for the
Opioids,
patterns.
pills,
Yep.
Yeah.
pills.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
can
try
see
to-
now why
try to
the
get
pill
beyond
that. Yeah.
the pill guys do not want you all around.
Well, there's a lot of good things. There's a lot of good things that we do, and it works with most people.
Yeah.
Wow.
And of course, I mean, we have our center, in Portland, where we work with students, and we do our training with them. We also do some webinars with people, and we see people in person. We also see people. I meet with people who contact me from all across the country
Yeah.
and can have a session. So I can work with people online. I can work with them in person.
Yeah.
But I like being there with them.
Yeah.
I am wondering if can you make people remember something? I see these police things where they'll try to say, okay, can you remember what this person looked like?
Yeah.
Or can you remember what else happened?
Yeah.
Does that work?
Yeah, actually, you can take a person back in age regression, and they can go back and they can remember a combination. They can remember a book title. Didn't you have somebody who lost their wedding ring and they couldn't figure out where they put it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Actually, one of my favorites is a woman who had for over a year in advance, had wanted to take her family out to a particular concert. And so she bought these tickets, and she made sure she put them in a place she'd never lose them.
Right.
But then all of a sudden, she's getting up to about a month before it's supposed to go, and she cannot find them anywhere.
That's right.
So what happens, though, a lot of times is the people get so tensed, so stressed out about it, that they just can't seem to do. So what we do a lot of times is help them to relax, and then kind of do an age regression. So we take them back to the time they bought the tickets. And then we have when they have the tickets in their hand, and we have them move forward gradually and have them remembering in their other than conscious mind, because consciously they don't have a clue. But in the other than conscious mind, take them forward and start to remember what it is. And all of a sudden she just burst out laughing. She remembered where they were. She put them in a special pillowcase in the back of her linen closet so they would never get lost.
Of course.
And so she knew where they were.
Wow.
Just like the one she talked about, the wedding ring. The person had the wedding ring, and they were always very careful to put it on top of their dresser. And this one time they knew they had done the same thing, but got up the next day, it wasn't there. And nobody else had been in the house but them. And they looked on the floor, they dug all around, they went through every drawer, they went through their car, they went through every possible place, bathrooms, etc. Could never find it. But all of a sudden, when we had them relax, and they went back to that same day they were doing it, they had been in a hurry that one day. And when they went to take the ring up and stuff on it, she hadn't been paying attention, she put it up there, and it bounced. And it went back, and it literally stuck right on the back of the dresser. When she realized that she remembered seeing it bounce, she went back, pulled the dresser out, and there it was. It was just stuck right there on top of one of the little pieces of wood in the back.
Wow.
So our mind often knows, not always, it isn't going to be 100%.
Right.
But it's amazing how many times the mind will do it. And you relax them, have them go back before the event happened, have them slightly move forward until they get up to that event. And quite often the mind will just, yeah, there it is. Ooh.
You know what's interesting about this thing is that it's not out there. No one talks about the other options. Because the thing that came up to my mind in regards to the conversation you guys were having was one, the lie detector test, and then giving you the old shot. Said, well, look here, we're going to give you this shot, and in about 10 minutes, you're going to be able to tell it all.
Well, there's something called forensic hypnosis.
What's that?
We don't do forensic hypnosis. You'll find one specialist who will do nothing but forensic hypnosis, because that's pretty much how it works. And they have to follow a certain protocol of hypnosis. They'll ask questions in a certain way that they've been trained, because everybody needs to be trained specifically for what they do.
Imagine, yes.
And they will tape everything, and that information is considered evidence, and then will go on over to whoever's going to be working with it. So a person will remember a lot in hypnosis. I've had people who came in and they said, I just need to go back to that time because I want to see my mother again or my father again. And then to let them slowly get relaxed and go back to the time. They remember when they were a child. They can see what they were wearing. They can see who was in the room. And then sometimes they're a little surprised and they say, I remember my brother who died. And then they'll talk about them. They'll talk about their voice, how good it felt to be sitting in somebody's lap with their arm around them, and just feeling the love that they felt when they were so young, that they'd forgotten it. And now all those important things, they were coming back to them. And so that when they open their eyes, they're still kind of feeling that, and they feel so good that many times, I've seen grown men cry and say, I'd forgotten all of that. And I just remembered so much. And it felt so heartening to be by my grandmother again.
Oh, she's got so much to put on the table. We better get going. I mean, we don't have that much more time. We got about another 30 minutes. We better get to the other stuff on the table.
30 minutes to talk
No,
about
it's going to be
pictures.
with me sitting
Well,
here.
we'll
I
get
want
there, too.
questions.
But one more piece just to add on what she said. These forensic hypnotherapists are completely trained to work with the court systems and work with the law
They
and
are.
work in that. And that's all they do.
Yeah.
They
But you
don't do anything
But
outside
you don't
that.
hear about that. I'm
No.
saying.
But
And
what
that
you-
seems more humane.
Yeah,
if you
it
will.
is. But what you were saying stuff on, people won't come to us or something like that. I've had people call up and say, hey, I want to bring my daughter to you and stuff because I want, I think she's lying to me and I
Yeah.
want you to
Oh.
find out. It doesn't work.
no,
It
Yeah.
doesn't work
If
that
she
way.
will lie to you in person, she'd lie under hypnosis too, okay?
Okay.
Again, it's like Dick said, you can't control the people to do that. So it puts them in a very relaxed place, but they still are in control.
In control.
They don't give that up.
Ah.
So it's a
So they
different
may
one when they're
lie.
in this legal system and they're working in a
Yeah,
court of law.
that's a whole different
Whole
ballgame.
different thing, okay?
Well,
So-
keep in mind that if you knew that you had permission to be able to relax really, really deeply, and you decided that you wanted something, except life for some reason has messed with you, and maybe you just didn't have whatever you needed, the confidence, the ease to do it. When you go into a state of relaxation, you're connecting with a part of you who knows how to do that. Because each person, each and every single person is really an amazing genius. And when they go inside, they have these resources that are in the unconscious. You see, we have many levels. We can be talking at Starbucks, we're in beta. That's called beta. We can be driving, we could be wandering in our minds, thinking about something else we're going to do. Then you're going into alpha. You could be in bed, you could be just falling to sleep. And then you start to envision some things, and that's theta. You go deep, 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 and that's delta. When you go very deep into delta, your body's making important fixes and changes. And each one of those levels is a level of your mind, your unconscious working with your conscious. And you're designed to be an efficient and effective machine. You just want to get to the right level to make the changes, you see. And sometimes when people are in the, what they would say, highly caffeinated state, they're just not allowing themselves to relax deeply enough so that all the parts of them can start mixing and doing whatever's necessary to bring together all the resources that make them say, now I believe I can do it. I just needed to remember these other things. So it kind of helps you connect the dots in another way. Yeah.
Again, do you know who does it at the police? Do the police have hypnotists?
They're called forensic hypnotists,
Okay.
and they're generally only one or very few
In an
within
area.
a given
Right.
northwest
Right.
area, like for
Okay.
example.
If someone was interested in that, they would want to contact the Oregon Hypnotherapy Association and ask who in Oregon is doing forensic hypnosis.
Yeah,
Okay.
or a group called the National Guild of Hypnotists. They have quite a ledger of people across the United States,
Right.
so they could give you even outside of Oregon. So
We're telling everybody things of it they had no idea about.
We need to invite
There's a lot of
them.
resources.
Let's invite them. We need to invite them over.
Well, I can
to the
tell you
show.
that these organizations kind of watch each other
Okay.
and really police each other. Recently, I spent quite a bit of time, 15 days in the Senate working on the some of the challenges that we faced as, a hypnotherapist as well as coaches, to be able to make sure that what we did was separated from what other people did. Because you see, a hypnotherapist is not a psychologist, we're not a psychotherapist.
Right.
We don't administer medication, although a doctor could very well do hypnotherapy.
nor do we diagnose somebody as schizophrenic or
Right.
bipolar or any of
Right.
these things. We're not about that. As she said, we like working with normal neurotics, like us, who just want to have their life be better.
Yeah.
So what would it take now to take them from where they are and what's not working to where they can have what they want and have life be better? And by the way, hypnosis, you asked about that earlier and stuff. The simple definition for hypnosis and how to help that is it's by changing the fixation of attention. So a person isn't able to fixate or get in the right place, but through a combination of fixation of attention and relaxation to get them into such a receptive state that now their other than conscious mind is willing to allow for change. And then with the use of the right kinds of positive suggestions, and they're the suggestions they told us they wanted. We're not sitting there putting things in their head. We're using what they wanted, and
Yeah.
we're putting that with it in the right way, in the right words to help them move forward to get what they want.
You're always in control.
Yeah.
All you need is for someone to basically say, I give you permission to take me to a relaxed place.
Right.
And just keep in mind you're the
Yeah.
one who's doing it. You just need a process that works with them and sufficient time to reach a hypnotic state. If a person's been drinking coffee all day and then they come into your session, you're probably not going to have a very
No.
successful session.
They won't relax.
But if they can cut off the coffee a couple hours before a session, they can probably get relaxed enough to do well.
Interesting.
And when they come in, someone who's been trained well will know how to be in rapport with the person, will pay very close attention to what's valuable and important to them so that they're connecting with that. Yeah. And anyone who does this kind of work really should also learn how to help themselves as well, because every now and then, you know, we're living a human life.
Yeah.
You know, you want to be a better human, you should be walking your talk and doing the same
Yeah.
thing. You know, so I would always want to look for a hypnotist or somebody who doesn't smoke, especially if they're going to help you quit smoking.
Right, 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 right.
You know,
right,
or
right.
somebody who is doing
sense.
what they're already, you know,
Yeah.
saying that they help others with.
Yeah. Well, when you talked about they should be able to do it for themselves. When you teach classes, don't you start out very early with teaching them self-hypnosis?
Yes,
So they have to do it themselves, or what's the point if you can't do it without yourself? How do you do it with others?
that's right. You know, the very first thing I want people to understand is get into a state that you recognize. Like, when was the last time you were relaxed? Do you remember?
Not in my life, man.
Interesting question.
Yeah, that's a very interesting question.
You have to really go that deep.
Yeah, I have to go that deep.
Okay.
I'm a very busy guy.
When was the last time you were relaxed?
Well, I think I do a pretty good job of it.
Okay.
I'm capable of being relaxed.
Well, we ask people this question because you should probably have gone someplace right at that moment.
Yeah.
Right at that moment. Or here's something else which I think is kind of interesting, and I actually this is kind of fun. I was in a class yesterday with a man who was teaching a class for Mercy Corps, and he said to everybody, and this was kind of fun for me because I know how hypnosis and NLP works. He said, "Okay, everybody, I want you to close your eyes for just a minute, and I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you to notice what happens." Just out of curiosity, would you just be willing to close your eyes?
Yeah.
Close your eyes. Close your eyes, Dick. Close your eyes, Rich. All right, I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to go inside of yourself and go to the very first time in your life you ever remember connecting with money. Like maybe a child or your earliest memory. And notice where you are, who's there, and what's happening. Okay, open your eyes. So where were you? What was your very first recollection?
Mine was being a newspaper kid.
A newspaper kid.
Yeah.
Yeah?
And I was getting the money for the first time,
Yeah?
you know, from one of the residents in the community.
Wow.
Isn't that something?
You just traveled in time.
Yeah.
Gee, wow.
What was yours, Dick?
I think it was getting an allowance.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's what I would think that would be the first.
Wow. And did you remember the sense of that?
No,
Do you know how much allowance you got?
my guess is based on today's whatever is a nickel.
A nickel.
That's probably about what it was.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
What was yours, Rich?
I went through several in a row, all of a sudden hitting but the one that stuck was when I was in the Boy Scouts. We had a couple of kids who were going to go to the Jamboree, and we were going to try to raise money to help them get there. And so we all went out selling Boy Scout hard candy one day. And I remember just going out door to door to door to door just because I wanted to help these two guys be able to get to Jamboree. So, you know, like you, it's like, and I brought back all this money and
Yeah,
handed it
right,
to the
right,
you know,
right.
Oh,
Well, you noticed,
Scoutmaster.
you noticed that. And what was important when you take that memory forward? What did you bring forward about money?
That was the part I wasn't going to say.
Yeah.
What was, remember, is like there was 8 of us went out to go door to door to do things with it, and I'm all enthusiastic, and I think we all are. And we raised $83 that day. I brought home 64 of it.
Wow.
So at that point, it's like, wait a minute, something wrong here. So it made me wonder, it's like, how come 8 of them doing that, but I brought in 3/4 of the money.
Yeah, right.
Well, see, now, those are all important learnings. And how you first get one of those experiences, you learn something from that, and that becomes a marker for you and you make a decision. And many times people carry that forward with all the other decisions they make about money, so it starts to affect them. Would you like to hear what my thought was?
oh, go ahead.
When I went back in time, I remembered my first experience with money was that my grandpa was from Poland, and I was about 4 or 5 years old. And he put a walnut in my hand that had a silver dollar inside of it.
Oh.
This was a really, really long time ago when we had those silver dollars,
Yeah.
you know, back in the 60s. And he said, he put it in my hand. I could still remember it. You know the feeling like if somebody, they take your hand, may I touch your hand?
Yeah.
And they press it in your hand, and he closed my fingers and
yeah,
he
I'd
says,
feel it, I'd feel it.
make it grow.
Mm.
And of course he had a Polish accent, and I think he probably said, Kaszka, make it grow.
Kaszka.
Because, you know, that was my name in Polish. So when he stuck it in my hand, I still remember the sensation. And that's been a really,
Well, that's not-
we won't say how many years, but we'll just say there's been a little time that's passed. But that makes an impression on you for the rest of your life, you see? And when people come in, I mean, my great dream is really, I love helping women live the lives they wake up from dreams about. I love seeing that happen because so many women push themselves back.
Yes.
And I have men clients who come in to me who are working on all kinds of physical challenges and even trying to be emotionally available.
Interesting. Boy, that's
You know, talk about dreams. I know you've had a dream at some point, and since I know you've got some paintings over there,
Yes.
I'm curious about this
Dream.
dream you've had and how you managed to get into doing this art that you do so much of.
I'm getting
Well,
goosebumps.
we probably should do that.
Yes.
Probably should. We're at that point.
Pretty amazing.
So I'm getting goosebumps.
Where do we
about
start
this.
about the pictures?
Well, let me tell you that when I was a little girl, my dad encouraged me not to be an artist because I'd never make any money. But drawing and sketching were my favorite thing to do. I was a shy little girl. It was wonderful. And when my son, my youngest, graduated from university, when he had just finished his master's degree in architecture, he said to me, "So, Ma, now that the last kid is out of the house, when are you going to get back to your sketching?" And of course, I went inside and I probably thought about it somehow, and I said, "Oh, I'm too busy. I don't have time for that kind of thing. I have a business to run. I've got to take care of myself. I don't have time for that." It's like, where does that come from? Why aren't you doing something that you love? And then he asked me this big question. This is when you know you're going to get it from your kids. What would you do if one of your clients came in and said, "I really love art," and they didn't give themselves the time to go back in and do it again? Oh man, he had me there. He had me there by like the tail. He did. He did. And so I said, "Okay, so I'll start practicing sketching." He said, "So how often will you do that?" Then you're being cornered. I was like, being cornered? Okay, 15 minutes a day. He says, "Okay, where are you going to do it?" Wow, he's really putting me in the corner here. I was really in the corner. I said, "Well, I'll go into cafes and I'll sketch for 15 minutes minimum every day." He said, "Okay." And I said, "Well, you're going to come with me for a while so I don't feel like I'm alone, right?" He said, "Yeah." So we would start going into Starbucks or World Cup, which is here in Portland, or Jola Cafe, and Rich was there with me for a lot of places. And Solace, Fine Tea, all these wonderful places. And I would sketch, and they were awful. Oh, they were but they got better. And after a while, I didn't want to keep all this paper, so I would snap a picture with my iPhone or my iPad, and this took a lot of courage. This next part took a lot of courage. I would walk up to the person, and I would hand them the picture, and I would say, "Excuse me, I was just practicing drawing, and I was drawing a picture of you, and I'd like to just give this to you as a gift." And then I'd give it to them, and they'd look at it, and can you imagine? A lot of these people looked at me as though, "Oh, wow, that's pretty nice. You don't want me to pay you for it?" "Oh, no, enjoy it." Wow. And then I would always ask that question. We just did the thing about how does it feel to be seen? I'd say, "Well, how does it feel to be seen?" What a reward.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't have to be paid in money.
Well,
I
that's
can be
right.
paid in that expression,
Yes.
that little sparkle in their
Right,
eye that
right.
says, "Somebody saw me."
Right.
Yeah.
So I have a couple pictures. Do you want to see them?
Yeah, let's look at it.
Actually,
Let's do that.
enlarge them.
Yeah.
Let's look at
Yeah.
it.
So
Tell me.
Why they're here.
if
There's
you'd
one
like
on-
to see some
There's
of
one on
them,
the easel right now.
yeah, there's
Okay.
one over
Can you
there.
get it?
Here,
Okay.
there they are.
And which was that? Which was this? Was this another one of the?
This was a man who was sitting in a cafe, and there was no music playing at the moment, but there was a picture of a musician right next to him, and I was watching him, and he was playing on the table like there was music playing, and all those happy faces.
Interesting.
That's what I was imagining as his essence. That's what it felt like.
We got another picture here. I'm going to put this one up.
Oh,
Yeah.
this one's kind of fun. This lady was sitting with her dog on a leash off in the edge. You could probably see a little puppy wandering off with little hearts. Yeah. Now, all of these pictures have the date and the time hidden in them. So this was over by World Cup on Northwest 23rd, and it was 28 minutes and 44 seconds is how long it took for me to draw that. And the date was August the 15th, 2015.
You got it right there.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Eventually, I started getting into some things like this one that you have up there. And this is just, I would have these ideas in my mind, like, what if everybody had whiskers?
Yeah, meow here.
Meow.
Yeah.
Is that cat?
Yeah, yeah. What if everybody grew long ears and had whiskers and they grew fur? Would you be different with them?
Gee whiz.
Yeah,
That's neat.
yeah.
That's interesting.
This next picture that you have in your hand, this was another one done at World Cup, and this was kind of fun because this one was, I can't see the time that's on the computer, 42 minutes and 42 seconds. But people move a lot.
Oh, yeah.
They're constantly moving. So to draw that really quickly and sneak those pictures over to people, and this one actually I didn't give those to them because they all got up and left.
Oh,
So that one didn't get to them. Yeah,
Really?
okay.
yeah.
Is another one?
Yeah, oh, this is a grandma. I'm thinking it was either a grandma because she had gray hair, and maybe it was her granddaughter, her daughter. And I love this, I love this, I love this because she was listening so intently that as she was listening, the girl was waving her hands, and you could tell she really felt like she was being heard. And let me see, in her pants, what does that say? It says, is that 33 minutes?
33.55.
Yep, yep. So
Wow,
when they
I was
got
looking
that,
for the number.
isn't that fun?
This isn't the paper you draw on. Is
No,
it?
these are actually are enlargements. The paper
Right.
I drew on was just sketch paper that I got from one of the local stores. And this woman, she walked into a Starbucks and all these people said, hi, 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 hi. She was like Miss Popularity.
Huh.
And she was only there for, what does that say at the bottom?
3:20. 15:20.
15 minutes and 20 seconds. She came in, she got her coffee, she left. Sometimes Rich would see me, I'd run out and I'd hand
Yeah,
pictures
track
to
'em
people.
down.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow, that's exciting.
This last picture is
Yes.
is a little
Let me
bigger.
take some of these. Let me take some of these down.
Yeah, it's a little bigger, and this was kind of like my portrayal of my son, who went on to become an architect. And Portland.
Yeah, that's pretty
Portland
good.
is known for a number of things. One of them is
Right.
keep Portland weird, right?
Yeah.
So in this scene, there's a number of different kind of things. So he talked about how he felt sometimes like he was on one side of the wall talking to people about environmental ideas, doing reuse with buildings, and people would be on the other side of the wall. And he felt like maybe they were getting a little bit closer to hearing some of his ideas. He loved going to University of Oregon, their program here in the architecture program. And then he worked for Sarah, which is one of the firms. But there's so many things in the background that I stuck in there, and this came from imagination.
There's
You
a
could see the
bridge.
volcanoes and the
Yeah.
bridges.
Yeah,
and
you got a couple pyramids.
Yeah, yeah.
You got a flying saucer
Mount-
up
There's a
there.
fly-
Mount
Several-
Hood, maybe.
Yep, Mount
Oh,
Hood.
that one.
St.
Couple-
Helens.
That's right.
Couple
That's
of
what
flying
that is.
saucers. There's a
Yeah, yeah,
volcano
yeah,
going
yeah,
off
yeah,
over
yeah.
there. Yeah,
Wow. Fremont Bridge.
yeah, yeah. And so I have to say,
Grain elevators.
my son Richard Wilson really made a big difference in getting me going, as also did my daughter Cynthia, who sat many times with me inside of places. I did over 670 pictures around the Portland
Wow.
area and handed them and gave them away over a
Wow.
period of a year and a half.
She's also been recognized by several places who had her put their her photographs up. She's been at least probably 5 or 6 Starbucks.
Yeah.
Jola,
Jola
you were
Cafe.
at Merrillhurst University and
Streff-
the
I've
Streff
been
Gallery.
in Streff Gallery. I'm
So-
currently in Solus Tea and Fine Espresso in Beaverton.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of fun because so many of the people would come up and say, would you be willing to hang those pictures up? And I didn't think anything of it. The pictures you see are just all, like enlarged iPad,
Right.
photographs.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
Because
Yeah,
I gave
right.
the pictures away. I don't have most of them.
Then you got
And-
cards here.
Yeah.
You got
Little ones, yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
you've also, in some of those pictures, because I was there on a couple of them, I want to bring in some things. There was a woman in a wheelchair that you took a picture of, and I think you should tell that story.
Was it cougars on the back of it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was wonderful. There was a girl and she was in a wheelchair. And see, you have to remember, I'm trying to learn how to sketch. I'm trying to get the angles. I was doing groups of people. I was doing this, and I thought, oh, I've never done a wheelchair. So I was sketching her in the wheelchair, and then I thought, oh man, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. And I thought, no, I'm going to have the courage to do this. And I have little anchors from NLP, like I've put anchors of courage and strength. Sometimes I was so scared I would be touching my anchor
Really?
just to kind of bring up the feeling of courage again for a moment. And then I went over and I handed it to her and I said, just like I did to everybody, I saw you sitting there, I'm learning how to sketch, and I saw your essence, and I'd like to give this to you.
Hmm.
And she looked at the picture and she looked up at me and she wiped her
Wow.
eye and she says, you know, people don't look at people in wheelchairs.
Wow.
They kind of pretend you're not there.
Exactly.
They walk around you, but they ignore you.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, I see you.
Yeah.
And she hugged me.
Mm. Mm.
And I said, so what is this cougars on the back of your wheelchair? And she says, that's my favorite team.
Mm.
Here's a woman who was all full of conversation, just waiting to be heard.
Mm.
Yeah.
All
There-
of us are.
oh, there's so
All of
many-
us are.
Yeah.
All of us,
Yeah.
all of us
Yeah.
want to
All
be
of
heard.
us are.
Indeed.
And you know,
Indeed.
here's another thing. The people who I've met, and I've been president of the National Guild of Hypnotists for a number of years. I'm not now, but I was for at least 5. I'm a member of the Oregon Hypnotherapy Association.
Right.
I have to tell you that these people are good listeners. They listen deeply, and people can go someplace. And sometimes I think listening is the biggest healer.
Yeah. Oh,
Because
yes.
when you tell your story,
Mm-hmm.
and when a person comes and says, "This is my dream,"
Mm-hmm.
I want to make that happen for them. And if somebody says, "I'm afraid," you know, I would like to be the one to witness you in your courage.
Yeah.
Mm.
I'm not going to be the one who's there doing it. You are, and it's such an honor just to witness that within people. It really is. And so over at our center in Positiva, we see people who are older, younger. We see people who come and what they really want to do is be their very highest and best self.
Hmm.
Those are the people who we feel very honored to help. So, yeah,
That's interesting.
it's a privilege to
I
do
like
this
that.
kind of work,
That's
and,
neat.
and also to train people to do it, so
Well,
that
you're training. You're
as
also a
we-
teacher. You're an
we are.
instructor.
We're instructors. I'm a master instructor in neurolinguistic programming. We have a class coming up in November for people who want to be master practitioners.
practitioner.
October, I think, is October. We have a class coming up for
For the clinical hypnotherapy and basics of neurolinguistic programming. We
Right.
have that one coming up.
yeah. So if they wanted to learn that, you know, we have those
Yeah.
classes.
Those are
coming up.
full-blown certification training programs. So it's a 160-hour program.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like 27 days.
Mm.
But they're spread out. We do them in bite-sized chunks, like 3 days at a time, and spread it out. And everybody gets a chance to really practice it, to make sure they get the skill set, and they get it in their body memory so they know what they're doing.
Oh, and we teach creativity.
Yep.
There's a lost art.
Hmm.
In fact, if a lost art is things on it, you have a very unique title for yourself in creativity. And you are what?
I am a creativityologist. I figure if I'm going to give myself a title, I'm going to choose the one that fits me the
It
most.
makes fun.
I like that. It's a lot of fun to do this kind of work, and people can lead lives that are have more happiness, more prosperity, more peace, and it's an honor to do that kind of work with people.
Sure.
All they have to do is give themselves a chance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Above in our training center, on top of our board up there, it's an old Andrew Carnegie saying, but it says up there, it says, what you can conceive and believe, you can achieve.
Hmm.
So that's what these people are coming in. They're conceiving their life could be different in some way. And they don't quite have the belief or expectation yet, and they want it. So they come in so that they can work through their blocks or whatever it is that's holding them back, and to be able to conceive of a way that they could do that. And then through the use of the unconscious mind, getting into that altered state again, with the right kinds of suggestion and the right kinds of state, you can help people to begin to resolve that old issue where they were and be able to see themselves conceiving what they want. And by creating that sense of belief and then the expectation for it, And hypnosis is progressive. Sometimes it may take more than one session, but sometimes you can do it in one. But every time they're going to walk out being better than they were. And we want to know, what is it they're conceiving? What would it take for them to believe to get there? Once they have that, what do we need to do to get the next step? And maybe there's going to be some action steps that they'll have to take out and do it. We give them a lot of homework that they take out, so they're learning and doing. But yeah, what's possible if you didn't know it wasn't?
Yeah, right.
Exactly. So
Well, could I give you one real quick
Yeah.
little anchor thing? Here's another thing. If you would just kind of hold your left thumb for a minute.
Okay. Oh, left.
I changed it.
Your other left.
If I can
And,
keep
and
track.
I don't want you. I don't want you to squeeze, but maybe hold your joint for a second, and close your eyes, and remember a time when you felt strong. And when you have it, squeeze your knuckle. Strong. And then let go. Keep your eyes closed still. Remember a time when you felt compassion, like you really cared for a person or a cause. And when you remember a time, a moment, when you were there, you were really feeling deeply for someone, squeeze that joint and say compassion. Compassion.
Passion.
And then let go. Don't open your eyes yet, keep them closed. Remember a time when you were laughing, a time when something was so funny, you heard somebody laughing in the other room. It just about makes you feel like laughing now. Maybe you were watching a TV program, maybe you saw a comic, maybe somebody was walking out of the bathroom with toilet paper connected to the bottom of their shoe. Whatever it was, notice what it is that it makes you laugh, and then squeeze that knuckle and say, ha, ha. And then let go. Okay. So now you have an anchor right there. The next time you need to feel strong, or some compassion, or a little bit of,
Yes. Yes.
you know,
That's healthy.
you really
That's
get
good
it going.
stuff.
Squeeze that and just kind of notice how it comes up for you. Just make
Interesting.
your day a little brighter.
It's interesting.
And that's what I would
It
hope for
works.
everybody.
It works.
It does.
I started remembering things.
Yeah. I feel so honored to be here.
Oh, this has been great.
Yeah.
We both feel
It was
pretty
great.
honored to be
Okay.
here.
I like this. I
Yeah.
like this.
Yeah.
I remembered running. That was a
I
strong
remember
thing.
running.
It really
Yeah.
stuck out.
Mm-hmm.
Felt like I could run forever.
Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Well, you
remember
have
what
that
it-
anchor. Next
yeah.
time you need
Yeah,
it,
you got it.
next time you want to feel that incredible sense of
Yeah.
running,
Yeah.
go for it.
I remember being in Navy playing against a Marine team in basketball. It was a good game.
What was your memory that came up?
You know-
Any special memory come up when you did the strong or
Well,
compassion?
well, one was that, like I said, I was in one of these sessions, and one of the guys had admitted the fact that he had drank.
With that thought of knowing that you were there
I was there,
and you had that sense
and I
of
tell you, I mean,
so it's running out of time.
Yeah,
huh?
we are out of time.
oh boy,
I want to
we gotta have
thank
her back. I gotta get on my show now.
Kat or Katie and Rich for coming.
Been
and
great.
Really
Been great.
giving a good show.
Been great.
A
Been
lot of
great.
information.
Great. It's been
Wow.
This
great.
was great.
Well,
There is a
it's
lot of
really, It's
information.
been an honor to be here. Thank
Yes.
you.
It's a
Indeed.
pleasure. We learned something. That's the whole
Indeed.
idea.
We're,
And thank you for
Appreciate
letting
that.
my characters come on.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
The little cafe
yes.
characters. Thank
Appreciate
you.
that very much.
Okay.
We'll be in touch.
So now maybe you can either go to
What happened?
Looks like it feels like a mask.
Okay, we're here. You want to?
No, go ahead.
You want me to go this time?
Yeah,
Okay,
see, we're
fine.
back.
Hey, I'm Bruce Broussard, the IPO, one of the producers here at. Was it One Signal? Is that what it is? I mean, I'm
Open
always
Signal?
Geez, Open Signal. I mean,
Yeah,
I mean,
we still
it's-
haven't gotten over that, have we?
I haven't got. I won't get over it. Trust me,
Okay.
right up front with you. I mean, I'll just be right up front with you about this, people.
You,
you know-
you can relax. There's one thing, if you know, there is a signal station out in North Portland that's open.
Open.
Yeah, it's
In
open.
North Portland,
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't mean anything, but
but it was supposed to be an Oregon Public Broadcast, not
No,
Portland
that's a
Community
different,
Media.
That's a different company.
Yeah, it's a whole different.
Yeah,
I must have interviewed in the wrong.
we can't
chap.
get it right this time.
See, that's what's brought on this whole confusion stuff.
Yeah.
With all this other stuff, you don't know what's. Anyway, long and short of it, hey folks, we've got quite a show here for you tonight. What is the big one? Probably one of the biggest issues that's being talked about here in the Portland metropolitan area, and that is the fact that the Mayor Ted Wheeler, identified his chief of police. I said identified. And basically presented the fact that he selected someone for his chief of police. But there are some things about that piece. First off, the person has to be, vetted, or if not that, background check.
Are they still doing that?
The background check, and what's interesting about it, and they're doing it in Salem. The highway, is it highway
Oregon
highway
State-
police,
Oregon State Police, yeah.
are doing the background check. Well, normally Portland Police normally does that. It's kind of interesting. You know what I'm saying? And then we want to talk about it. We just want to just lay it on the table and hopefully give you a little history in terms of how we got there. Remember now, in fact, when Don and I were running for office, we were running for mayor aspect of it. He was the chief. He was my chief. But I mean, we had a team thing going aspect of it. He has background in police work and good background police work. Besides the fact he's published a book and he sort of opened up folks' eyes in terms of what police work was all about during his venture. So that's why he's here. It's very, very important. And Natural Teresa is here because she also, too, as a result of editing and getting involved in this whole process, she brings a lot of resources to the table also, too. And that was why I sort of made that selection process aspect of it. Because police has always been a major issue within the country, for that matter. And since we are focusing on Portland, Oregon, and Oregon aspect of it, I thought it was very, very important to just, make sure that was part of the platform, which we did. And Mayor Wheeler, who had not had any background, if you will, in police work, sure, he's run for office in several different areas, and too often that's normally what happens with a lot of times with folks who are running for office. They really don't have that background on another thing. But again, but the fact of the matter is that he was a pretty popular guy. He had served in two major areas, one Multnomah County, and one as treasurer, right? And then he's coming over here running for mayor. But when he was running for mayor, he was not considered to be a likable person, if you will, a knowledgeable person from the Portland Police Department, because they did not endorse him at the time. They endorsed, if you will, this young man from. He was a county commissioner, and they endorsed him. And I'm still wondering what was his background in police work. Whereas on the other hand, we had background.
Well, I don't have any background in police work.
No,
but
I'm talking about Don and I. Yeah, Don had background, and not naturally as a former jarhead. It is a sort of a paramedic.
Yeah.
But my point is that we tried to get the conversation, and I think we did a good job, Don. You did a good job on that piece. But anyway, long and short of it all, there's been all kinds of issues talking about police here in the city of Portland. There's been protests. There's been all kinds of things, if you will. And there's the police union with Daryl Turner. And that's another issue aspect of it. There's been always the quote about who runs the city. Portland Police runs the city, and then at the same time, the mayor is supposed to be the commanding chief, if you will, of the police department. And then you got the chief of police, who's basically supposed to be the chief of police of the troops.
That's right.
It's a military kind of a deal aspect of it. But there's a certain amount of divide there between the chief, when he works for the mayor, and the police union. So there's a little confusion there. So, but I'm just throwing some of this history stuff out that's on the minds of a lot of folks. You got me?
Yeah.
But we still respect the police force. That's a tough job. That's a very tough job. But you do need leadership. And the chain of command is kind of like a paramilitary group anyway. we all understand the chain of command if we're military type routine, and the CEO, like I said, the chief officer is the mayor.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got the chief of police, who basically that's the chief of police of the people on the ground. But the people hired the mayor through the vote aspect of it. So he represents the people.
The problem is Ted Wheeler doesn't have any background in law enforcement.
Well, that's true. But again, like I said, he's still the mayor in terms
Yeah.
of the process aspect of it.
Yeah.
So there's been sort of a divide, and so all of a sudden he was left behind, if you will, with the chief that was there when he got elected. Was it Marshman?
Marshman, yeah.
Marshman.
Mike Marshman.
Yeah, in fact, Charlie Hale basically picked him before he left.
Yeah.
So there was Ted, and then the police union identified with him,
Yeah.
and there was a divide there. But Wheeler made a commitment when he ran for office that he was going to go outside and get a police chief.
Yeah.
Basically, what he was saying is, I'm going to get someone that's going to work for me and do as I'm told,
Right.
do as they're told, because there's a divide. So I'm throwing some, but please jump in and
That's a big
interject.
divide.
That's a big divide.
And what I've read is Daryl Turner's not happy with the selection of Danielle Outlaw because he wanted Marshman to stay, which I understand. You know, the problem is she's not from Portland. She doesn't know Portland's history. She's going to have to start reading some history books.
Well, but at the same time,
He's a
when-
long ways away.
but at the same time-
from Florida.
these chiefs are always being recruited all over the country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're recruiting all kinds of people, and you're right. I mean, you would think, but that's an administrative position.
Yeah.
See, and hopefully Don can speak to that. The chief is not recognized as actually dealing with the troops as much as he should be in terms of. Don, what do you think about
The
something?
police are administrators, but still they need to get down on the street and know what's going on.
Exactly.
What she needs to do is she needs to do nothing for 3 or 4 months just to see what's going on. And then after she feels comfortable with what's going on in the Bureau, then she needs to start making some changes.
Right.
Because the Police Bureau needs to be reorganized.
You said that.
The problem with this person is not that she's not probably qualified and she has the proper master's degrees and all those things, but
She's
the
going to
problem
classes,
is
okay.
she's not from here.
Yeah, that's the main thing.
That's the problem. So
Yeah.
she's not a native. She doesn't know who Bruce Broussard is.
Yep.
She doesn't
Yeah.
know who Greg McKelvey is. She doesn't know who Donald DuPay is.
Right.
She doesn't know who these
Curation,
people
yep,
are.
didn't know it, yep.
I'm nobody.
And she doesn't know the mood of the city.
Yeah.
Now, it's my
Yeah.
understanding that she's not going to come on until
Right.
October.
Second.
Right.
So we're going to go along all summer long on an interim chief, and she's going to miss out on the entire long hot summer here in Portland, and she will take over in October when it's nice and cool. So everything that happened all summer will be somebody else's fault. And then in October she can start knowing the city.
Yeah.
And that's what she needs to do. Because she's not from here.
But at the same time,
it would be like me going to Oakland
Right, right.
and trying to take over their police department
Right,
right.
and knowing the mood of the city and who the players are, who the gangsters are, who the good guys are. You can't do that. That's just wrong.
but then
Now that
Don,
has nothing to do with being an administrator.
I agree, but Don, at the same time, aren't policemen respected throughout the United States?
No.
The brothers and
anymore.
sisters.
Not anymore.
Okay, all right. I want to throw that out.
She is qualified, though,
Okay,
and
but
she's
she's
a
qualified.
veteran. She's
But-
got 19 years as a police
Right.
officer.
But at the same time, maybe some things could have been done early on, meaning that maybe, and this is just some suggestion we're talking, maybe the mayor might have suggested, if you will, once he picked her, say, well, look here, I'll tell you what we'll do. I've got an acting chief here. Why don't we bring him on as a deputy? Bring him on as a deputy chief. He was one that was picked out and endorsed by the police union. So if he was there as a deputy chief, or better yet, even
Not going to happen.
and even well, I'm just saying,
Not
if
gonna
that
happen.
if that had happened, or if not that, to get this divide thing about the definition of who runs the city, maybe get another deputy. His name is Daryl Turner.
Yeah.
There's no,
Make them the. See, now you got 2 deputy chiefs that has been endorsed by the line troops. They know the city, right? Very much aware. She's the administrator. The mayor's here, and he basically has orders saying, "Look, this is what I want to do," and basically they're the two there. Do your job, because you know when you go to a base, when you go to another base, and you got a CO that's been there for about 3 years, and all of a sudden he gets changed, and someone else come in there. Trust me, you treat that person like he's been there forever.
No.
Ideally, yeah.
Marshman is not going to stick around and take second.
Well, I understand he
second
resigned. I
fiddle.
understand he resigned.
Yeah, he did resign.
And he should have.
He resigned. He resigned.
Yeah.
But why not? I mean, wait a
but
minute.
for
now.
him to
Wait a
stick
minute.
around
But she's a policeman
Be a
and a
deputy
woman
chief. Yeah,
and a
okay.
minority woman. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, what's wrong with
We
that?
should give her a chance.
There's nothing wrong with that.
And the other
If
thing
she
is,
was from here, I'd be a lot happier.
But see, she didn't choose herself.
yeah,
The mayor chose her
Yeah.
because he wasn't getting the cooperation from the line troops. So guess what, Don? You do the same thing.
I think that he
I-
chose her because he wanted a person of color and a woman. Because if he had chosen any of the other the qualified applicants, and if they, white men, the activists in town would have been screaming and yelling, another white man, we want somebody. And that's a valid consideration, I think that she is qualified. I think we should definitely give her a chance. She's going to have a good relationship with Daryl Turner.
How will
For
this,
sure.
How will the police force, how are they going to react to her?
Well,
gonna
because
like
they're mostly white men, it's going to be.
Yeah, but Daryl's black. Wait a minute now. Daryl's in charge. I mean, he's the guy that makes the decisions for the police department. Don,
She's a newcomer,
I'm asking you a question.
and she's going to need to be reorganized, the police department. And if she doesn't, she's worthless. And if she does, they're going to hate her.
Yeah, but
Right.
the mayor was the one
Right.
that appointed
See,
her.
that's
I'm
the other
wondering.
thing. That's the other thing. You're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't.
Yeah, but everybody's
That's the
focusing.
life of every
But
cop.
everybody's focusing on her. She was selected by the mayor of the city.
Okay.
Right. To save his butt.
No, but still, I'm saying let's
And-
not focus too much on. She was selected by Mayor Wheeler,
And
Yeah.
and hey,
and now she's here.
She's here.
Now she's got problems.
Well, but guess what though? As I read in some of the background, some of the stuff that was out there on the news aspect of it, one of the things I saw, things like, for instance, she's going to live in Portland.
Right, in the city limits.
Some 70-some-odd% of those guys don't even live in the city.
Why
Now,
should they?
Well, guess what? What about community policing, Don? Everybody keeps talking about this community policing stuff. I put the
policing.
map of the city there, and I
Well-
would say, okay, fine, you stay here, you this, that, and the other, if you want to work for us.
It's actually a good point. And you know what? She could live in the city and be perfectly safe because Portland, Oregon today in 2017 is a very different Portland, Oregon than it was in the 60s. Now, when Don was a
She's a
cop in the
policeman, so don't worry
60s,
about being
cops
safe.
didn't live in Portland, they lived in Gresham because if it was anywhere in north or northeast, it was not safe. It was crime ridden, it was run down, and that's one of the reasons he told me, he didn't live in the city, and neither did his friends and partners. They all lived in either Gresham or Beaverton, right?
Yeah, and that's basically why Chief Moose didn't succeed in his plan, move back into Portland, is because nobody but him wanted to move back into the ghetto.
But it was a
All
good
the
idea.
policemen.
That was a good
It
idea.
was a good
by
idea.
Moose.
It was
Yeah.
naive. It was a good idea, but it was naive. None of the policemen that are working that ghetto are going to move there, because number one, they're policemen. Everybody knows who they are,
it's not
and
a
you're going to
ghetto.
endanger your
There's no
family.
ghetto anymore.
It
It's
was
not a ghetto,
then.
and it's not a
not
ghetto
now.
anymore.
It was then.
I
Not
know,
now.
I
The
know.
property right now, buddy,
It was
that's
then.
middle class all the
Right,
way.
right.
There's no such thing as a ghetto.
So she can live out in 162nd and Stark and still be in the city.
Yeah.
Okay.
So-
but then
so-
Tom Potter tried it too.
so
Former
she's-
Chief,
Did he?
Yeah, former Chief Potter tried to do that. In fact, he came up with some monies, some grant monies, if anybody wanted to come and move.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see.
I remember that.
But under our regime, Don, you will be given orders. As far as I'm concerned, I would say point blank, from this day forward, once we've gotten elected, if you will, you're going to have to move in the city of Portland. We want to use you as a community policing thing, because it does make sense. If they were driving a car, we'd allow them to drive their car home,
No.
and then those people within that particular area would be feeling very safe.
No.
Well,
Okay.
but the other consideration is that maybe Portland police officers don't want to live in the city of Portland because
No, wait a minute.
certain
Wait a
areas.
minute. Hey, wait. Hey, I'm paying you.
Right,
what
right.
are you coming with this? I don't want to live.
But-
You've got a job to do. Yeah, give me a.
However, they have
Richards.
rights.
Rights.
They can't have their
Look,
boss.
wait a minute.
Their
wait a minute.
boss can't
I'm
tell
paying
them
the
where
taxes.
to live.
Wait a minute. I'm paying the taxes. A mayor is. I've elected this guy, even though I might not have, we ran against
Mm-hmm.
him. But the bottom line is, he's the mayor of the city of Portland.
Right.
I got to respect that. Okay. But I want him to do a job, and I'm saying, hey, look, I think the idea of getting the guys to be a part of the city, the Portland policemen,
Yeah.
and then you let them drive their cars home, I think it makes good sense, if you
Yeah,
will.
no, it don't.
You got my point? Well, people would feel safe if a guy is driving
No,
their car
no,
in the
no, no,
wouldn't they be serious? Well, you wouldn't. They're bugging. You're a foreign policeman. You know what I'm saying? You wouldn't have to worry. I know the neighbors in your neighborhood are safe. I know that. Teresa tells me it all the time. She says you don't have to worry about it. She can go around the store, no problem. No, but the point of the matter is,
Police
I'm
cars
still
need to be
going
the
back to
place
the
for it.
same deal. He's the mayor of the city of Portland. He made a selection because he was having these issues.
Yeah.
He's trying to say, okay, fine,
Okay,
I
but
want
now-
things to change.
Yeah.
And he went and hired someone. Naturally, this is the whitest city in the
Right,
country, in
right,
the world,
right.
the whitest city in Portland. So he figured, well, I'm gonna pick someone, a person of color, and I think that was kind of good. Now,
Mm-hmm. I do.
You know what I'm saying? And
I
and,
do too.
and in fact, before was it Bachman? I just keep forgetting the chief.
Oh,
they-
Marshman.
Marshman.
Yeah.
Marshman supposedly had been going out trying to recruit more minorities and women. I mean, hopefully
They
we'll
don't know
get
how
to a
to
point
recruit.
where they're just saying, we just want to hire some good policemen and this is the deal and keep on going and get people of color all in.
They don't know how to recruit
You know,
either.
they don't. I was a recruiter. I know they didn't know how to recruit. I'm a recruiter. But the bottom line is that, but the bottom line, I still go back to the same deal. She was picked by the mayor.
Okay.
Okay.
But now she's here. Now she's got a big job to do.
No.
and she's got a lot
The
of problems.
mayor has a big job of
Okay,
saying,
now.
this is, he's giving her orders. This is what I want you to do.
He doesn't know what to tell her to do. He
Oh.
doesn't.
Well,
See,
we-
that's the problem.
We didn't get into that.
That's the problem.
we get it. But you still have
Believe
to-
me, the mayor does not know how to reorganize the police department.
Okay.
He doesn't.
Unless he's read my tome on it.
But the bottom line, yeah. Did you give him a book?
No, we
He
never-
didn't get a book. He didn't get
No,
a-
he wrote an essay about his 5-year reorganization.
I
of
remember
various-
that.
Various
I
ideas
remember that
he
when he
had.
ran for sheriff. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
I mean, Don's got a lot of background. You
Yeah.
got my point. He's very familiar. He should have called. In fact, we talked about that. In fact, all the folks that ran, in all due respect, the mayor should have called him in
he
the
doesn't
office
care.
and chat about the issues that
I've
they
sent
were.
him 3 emails. He never responds.
Okay, yeah,
We're nobodies.
Richard, what do you say? We've been talking all this deal. What do you think about this deal?
Oh, I don't know. I'm still wondering. I remember a time, a few years back,
Yeah.
when I think it was a police chief lived down in Northeast, close in, and these cowardly people go down there and try to make a fuss down
That
there.
was Moose. That was
Going-
Charles
That
Moose.
was Moose.
Charles
Going
Moose. He was chief of
after
police. A black guy.
responsible people.
He was a black guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going after responsible people because you're a protester. I think that's just cowardly.
Yeah.
And
And by the way, I might add that Moose was also one of the applicants. He was an
Oh.
applicant for the job. He
Oh,
came.
was he?
Yeah, he was an applicant
That's
for
why
the
he
job.
was in town.
Yes, he
I
was an
Okay.
believe.
He was he was an applicant for the job. He,
Oh,
you know, and he was
wow.
there. I think it was number 4 or 5 or something like that. And,
Wow.
and they didn't select him. You know, and then you got to think about the politics of people.
He would have been good.
But bottom line is, it's like anything else.
Sure.
He has his definition and reputation. He's been here for a long time. He knows a lot about police, but a lot of the folks here didn't want him,
Right.
and so he could not relate to the mayor because the mayor said, "Look, I got a problem here. You got to run that department, and I want these things to happen. And can you do it?" And hey,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I can't do it.
We heard that rumor, but we weren't sure.
No, he was here.
We
He was
heard
here.
that he was-
He would have been a fine chief. In fact, that's one of the reasons why he left.
There was another applicant. I don't know if he was in the panel, but Mark DeLong would have been a really good chief. but
He's
he-
local.
Yeah, he's a white man with blonde hair and
But,
blue
you know,
eyes.
But my point is,
Heck.
but he gets along. But evidently, does he get along with everybody?
Oh, everybody loves him.
Everybody loves him.
Well,
He's
why-
wonderful.
Yeah, but again,
he's
there-
retired from Portland and he's working in Gresham now.
Well,
because
there's
he
another.
loves the job.
There's another deputy chief. Again, I'm just trying to share. I'm just sharing with the mayor.
Well, but you know
some of
what?
the things
You
he
know
might,
what?
Because he still has to make the call.
When it comes to Mark DeLong, I don't know what Wheeler's decision about that was, but there's a lot of classism in Portland.
Oh yeah.
And Ted Wheeler is going to choose people like Danielle Outlaw because they have college degrees and master's degrees and things like that. And I understand that, but Mark DeLong would have been a really good chief. He knows the business inside and out.
Well, hey, I will give. In all due respect, I will give him this credit. He selected someone.
Yeah,
Good
He
luck.
she
selected
has a
someone.
chance. I mean, we
He-
definitely need
he
to give
selected,
her a chance.
He selected her.
Yeah,
And I'm sure they've had some discussions. You got my point?
yeah.
And he said, hey, these are the orders I'm going to give you, and I'm here because at the end of the day, the buck is going to have to stop with me.
Yeah.
You got me?
Well,
And
yeah.
and so that's a fact.
Yeah.
And then now when you start thinking about quote the black community, that's another issue because
She's got 2 sons, 2 teenage sons.
okay, but I'm just thinking about
So-
the black community
Yeah.
in terms of whether or not they support the selection that he made, and whether or not they will embrace her. And all
Well,
due
you know,
respect,
I was
would-
looking at Tressa Rayford's Instagram, and she seems to support it, but she's very guarded. You know, she says, "Let's wait and see." Basically, that was the gist of what she said. You know, because the bottom line is,
She's still a policeman.
Outlaw is a police.
She's a policeman.
She's a policeman, and
She's a police person.
and she's probably gonna, you know, be very supportive of the rank and file.
Well, I think
So-
the key to her, in all due respect, right up the front, who's going to be those deputy chiefs?
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, we need to
Who's
find that
going
out.
to be the deputy chiefs?
Yeah.
Her strength is going to rely on the deputy chief. She
Right.
got to pick the right 2 or 3. And
Right.
she got to get people that say, look,
See-
you do as I tell
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Right?
That's
Right,
exactly
Don?
right.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's definitely her
And
first
her
job.
weakness,
And we
her,
give
her
it-
weakness, and it's a huge weakness, is she's not from here. Not that I even really care about
that's
that.
what I'm saying, the deputies.
But she's going to come to Portland, and she's not going to know any of the people here, and she's not going to know the rivalries, the histories.
Oh, yes,
of
she will.
people.
You know why? How she going to do that?
It's going to take a long time for her to get
no,
to know
She's
that.
going to do it right here at Oregon Voters Digest. We're going to have it right here. Rich is going to be here. Don's going to be here. You're going to be here. And I'm going to be here. And we're going to just educate. And all due respect, this would be a good vehicle for her.
I'm talking about the rank and file. I'm
Rank and
talking about
file?
the administrators, the sergeants, the lieutenants, the captains. She doesn't know the history of Portland Police
As
Bureau.
Bud Clark would always say, read my lips. Next. Remember that? He was a mayor.
Right.
He made it very clear who was chief, who
Right.
was the mayor of the city
yeah.
of Portland.
He was.
And in an indirect way, I'm saying that Wheeler did the same thing. He could have been an easy guy and
This
visit.
time.
He could have been an easy guy and gotten what the recommendation from the police to line
Right,
troop. He
right.
didn't do that.
Right.
He said, "Read my lips."
But
This is going to be the chief of police.
do you-
Now that's a job.
yeah,
It's a job.
yeah.
I mean, imagine me. In all due respect, think about it. Imagine me, if through the election, I was elected mayor of the city of Portland. Imagine me, and then I bring Don along, and then hey, Don's making the decisions on anything that happens in the whole issue of police work. He's got the plan. He's got the layout. That's the way we're gonna go. Well, what do you mean? He just read my lips. You don't like the idea? Find yourself another job. And sometimes you have to be that way.
Right.
I mean, these are men and women. And they're paramilitary. A lot of them didn't go through the military, but a lot of them did.
Yeah.
They're Marines, they're Navy. The number of folks out there. They understand the chain of command.
Yeah.
But you've got to have someone that understands the chain of command, and they will tell them that.
Right.
That's why Potter was so he was a solid mayor when it came to the chief. That's why right up front with Potter was, and then you had Bud Clark, right? You had Bud Clark, and you got Steele. My point is that even though there might be some likes and dislikes about these guys, but they were strong mayors. It wasn't you do as I tell you. And if you don't like to doing it,
Yeah.
find yourself another job. Okay?
Yeah. And you have to be assertive like that.
You
if you're
got
gonna
to be.
a mayor.
You
Who
got
was
to be.
the mayor during Occupy?
Oh, wasn't
Occupy?
that? Oh gosh, who was that? That was
Park blocks,
that was 4 or
all
5 years
tents.
ago.
Was it?
tents.
Occupy when the parks were occupied.
blocks
wasn't
were
that
occupied
wasn't
with
that Charlie
tents.
Hales? That was Hales.
Oh, Hale. That was Hale.
Yeah, that was Hales.
That was Charlie Hale.
Right, Don?
Yeah.
It was
I
Charlie
don't know.
Hales.
I
right?
And that's when Cameron Whitten got the big
Right,
time.
right.
When he slept out there in the front of City Hall.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, was he negotiating with the mayor at the time?
Yeah, that was Charlie Hales.
Okay, well,
But we
that
still
police chief, we came here.
right.
have talk to
So
you,
so I think it's not a big deal in many ways of saying, don't do respect. You're right. We give her a chance, but no, it's the mayor made the decision. The mayor should be able to. In fact, I would like to invite the mayor to come here and just share his rationale. But right now, he's made the decision.
Right.
Now he knows. But at the same time, she's really not chief yet. So when some start talking about getting this background check, you know what happened to the superintendent of Portland Public School? They selected him, and
Oh, yeah,
this
that's
black
right.
guy, and the next thing you know, they say, "Whoa, gee whiz, you didn't tell us about that that bounce
I
check
don't-
when you're in college.
Right.
Yeah.
The bounce check in college. Exactly.
Leave me alone. I don't know of any college student that didn't.
I don't anticipate any problems with her background check. She's gonna do.
Well,
She's
knowing
she's
Will,
too clean. She's
well, knowing Willard's background as an accountant, so to speak, with the numbers, he know for fact. But my point is that I'm just saying, when I'm seeing, I'm just as a layperson, when I'm seeing that the police department said no, we're not going to do it, or we, you know, or they weren't going to do it fairly. You got me? So he went outside, maybe called up Governor Brown and said, hey, I may have an issue down here, and I need to do a little background check, and I want to make sure that it's on the record, routine. And she said, oh, fine, then you can use my state police.
Oh,
That's what I think happened.
Well, that's fine. There's no problem with having the state police and do the investigation.
But don't you think, though, that she's clean? I mean,
She's-
why make a
yeah.
statement about the fact that now they're going to go through a background check? Give me a break. We just went through
Yeah.
a situation with the school district.
yeah.
No, she's clean.
Yeah, because there's never been a whiff of controversy in Oakland about her, and she comes from a family of law enforcement officers, and I guess she was also in high school. She was what are they called?
Explorer Scout.
Explorer Scout in high school.
Wow.
So this is like what she's wanted to do her whole life.
Well, any time a person gets that kind of a job,
Yeah.
and we're still human beings. She's made some little frivolous kind of mistakes or whatever, but the fact of it is, she went through that process, and she's got that thing on the wall that says she can be a chief
Yeah.
of police, and he selected her. She was a chief there. She was a deputy chief.
Okay, but you made your point. We got a new mayor, we got a new chief of police. Now they're at the trailhead, and if they don't do the right thing, it don't make no difference.
What do you mean?
Because he doesn't know how to reorganize the police department, and if she doesn't reorganize the police department, then it doesn't make any difference whether she's black or white or a woman or man.
What about the mayor?
The mayor is in the same situation.
So
If
he-
he doesn't understand how to do it,
So what do we
Right.
do?
the rank and file are not going to like her if she does the right thing, and they're not going to like her if they reorganize the police department.
And what if the mayor says, "Look here, read my lips. She's
That's
gonna be my chief."
Okay,
Now,
that's-
you got a problem?
You got a
Then
problem.
find yourself
No.
another job.
the power of transfer.
What transfer?
The power of the transfer.
Transfer?
If you don't like the job, I'll transfer you to the waterfront,
That's
or
a
I'll
good one.
transfer you to
Water
North
Bureau,
Precinct,
right, okay.
or I'll transfer you somewhere.
Yeah. But my point is that he just, like I said, I'm giving him a kudo on this one because
Yeah.
he made a selection.
Okay.
See, that's good.
That's all I'm saying.
But we're
That's
still,
good.
if you don't do the right thing from now on, you're dead in the
Well,
water.
They got a thing called recall.
And the,
Very
what
sad. They
the
got a thing
question
called
is
recall.
though, the
It's a lot of
question is
trouble
what
for
is the
Recall
right
the
thing?
water,
That kind of thing.
The question is, what is the right thing? This is the focus of the Department of Justice. Too much excessive force by police officers in Portland, and too many deaths involving mentally ill. So
Yep.
those are the focuses she's going to need to work on, and that's going to involve some kind of retraining of Portland police officers, and they may be amenable to it, and they may not. Apparently in Salt Lake City, the Salt Lake City Police Department has adopted some de-escalation techniques, and they haven't had a death in 2 years.
Yeah, but that's Salt Lake City. Those are a bunch.
We're
They're
Portland
Mormons.
Oregon.
They're
we're-
Mormons.
No, they have
Yeah,
just
no,
they
no,
have
no.
problems.
That's
They have
not a good
methamphetamine.
analogy. They're Mormons.
No, they have methamphetamine problems. They have crime problems, just like Portland does.
Yeah.
But those are the issues. The issues are police brutality, accusations of excessive force, and too many deaths of the mentally ill in Portland. So she's got her work cut out for her.
One of the reasons they have excessive
right.
force complaints is because they don't use the chokehold.
I know.
They got to wrestle him to the ground, beat him up,
Yeah.
pig pile him. Gee, excessive force.
Right.
We didn't have that problem when I was a cop.
Yeah.
What'd you do,
The
Don?
chokehold.
The chokehold.
The chokehold.
Well, yeah, you got to stop.
But
No,
he
it
didn't do
came
the
way
chokehold.
before the tasers who kill people.
Right.
Chokeholds don't kill people in that number.
Don
No, it's
didn't.
just-
Don didn't do the chokehold
No,
with the arm
I didn't
around the
wrestle with
throat.
people either.
He didn't do the arm around the throat. He
Well,
did the
you-
fingers in the throat like this.
Well,
And he didn't kill anyone. Nobody
well,
died.
the issue of Stevens, you know, the Marine, the African American
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Marine,
yeah.
when they basically, again, because he was an African American, right? You got me? The race issue got into the table, you know, so in regards to the chokehold aspect
Yeah.
of it. So it wasn't given the opportunity to really, Stevens, his name was Stevens. Yeah, he was a
Tony
Marine.
Lloyd Stevens.
Tony, yeah, he was a Marine, and he was a security guard. And he walked in this,
1980s.
he walked in this plaid pantry, and this particular guy was doing some things, and to the manager, and he tried to help him assist him. And then
He
the police
tried
came
to-
in.
Yeah, there was a shoplifter.
Yeah, and the police came in, and all due respect, hey, you got a black guy and you got a white guy. Who's guilty? The black guy's guilty. I'm just saying. That's all. Yeah, no, that's the way it was.
Yeah.
That's the way it was.
Yeah.
But someone should have put that on the table and had that discussion.
Yeah.
But the race thing was such that they kept that divide,
Yeah.
and then it got into that tool, if you will, that Don is talking about, that didn't actually kill folks.
And Penny Harrington was the result of
Yeah,
that.
Oh,
being-
yeah.
Then Penny
She
Harrington.
was the
Remember
result
Penny
of that.
Harrington?
Going back a ways here.
And she was on for less than a year and was fired because her husband was a drug dealer.
Yeah, well, you
So,
know, I mean, all
Yeah.
kinds of things happen.
yeah.
Well, we're going into that with the Black and Blue report.
No. What you get is the book. The book. You see what I'm saying? But no, we're not trying to make any fun of this deal. But the fact of the matter is, and I'm still coming back to the same thing, that he's the mayor of the city of Portland. He got elected. It's done. He's picked himself a chief of police. We need to welcome her here.
Yeah.
We need to all work together. You got my point.
Okay.
And in all due respect, I'm gonna put a little bit more stuff on Daryl. He's an African American. She happens to be an African American. That's just
Yeah.
another tool that
Yeah,
he has.
yeah.
I think he should embrace her. As far as I'm
Yeah.
concerned, we said that when we was running. As far as I'm concerned, I said, well, look, after we got through this business, I said, hey, I even told Daryl, I said, why don't you apply for the chief of police? I even texted.
They all should have a honeymoon time
That's right.
when everything's perfect.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. You see what I'm saying?
And then it blows up after
Yes,
that.
exactly. Because we got these other issues too that we're dealing with. We got young people that are out there on the streets.
Yeah.
And-
Well, the opportunity of having Danielle Outlaw as chief of police is that she will be able to create effective change within the department. She'll be able to recruit more people of color, and the crime situation in Portland with gangs and just crime in general will hopefully be lessened, and hopefully she can address the excessive force complaints and also do some things to help the mentally ill. We've got this huge problem with mentally ill, and heroin is so big in Portland right now.
That's all over the country.
Yeah, it's so big in
That's
Portland.
huge.
Yeah.
Opioids are big time.
So she's-
You said something about her probably recruiting more people of color. But in
Yeah.
all due respect, attrition. What's it? Is it attrition or what was it? Was assimilation?
Oh,
That's
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Well, Daryl has done a lot for that. Daryl Turner, because he happens to be the union chief. They
Yeah.
got a lot of respect for Daryl, and he happens to be a person of color. And trust me, he has issues too. Out and even where he's living, a lot of times
But it's
some folks will
still-
challenge him and do some racist thing about his stuff, about his
Yeah.
family and stuff like that. But the point of the matter is, he has gotten respect, if you will, from the line troop.
Sure.
That's good. Now, if she will just come and set an example because of who she is and her background,
Yeah.
then that helps. But just putting something in her face and well, okay, you got to go hire, like for instance, say that maybe some more African American leaders say, well, you got to hire more blacks, or the Hispanic folks are saying,
Yeah.
they're saying, well, look here, we want sanctuary city and we don't want none of this stuff. This is what you got to do. No, all she has to do is be a chief of police, and she's working for the mayor.
Yeah.
That's it.
And the city of Portland.
And the city of Portland.
And
No,
the-
we're the city of
people.
Portland.
Right, the people.
Yeah,
People
we're the
of
people.
Portland.
All we want
The
is
citizens.
whether you voted for him or you didn't, the score is 1-0. He won. So he is the mayor of the
Yeah.
city of Portland.
Yeah.
So I think we need to slow down a little bit and let it happen for a minute. I mean, I had my issues with the guy. I mean, I've talked
See,
about this. the other day.
I'm more cynical about Ted Wheeler than you are. I think that he chose Danielle Outlaw primarily to save his own skin.
I don't.
I
Hey.
really do.
Yeah, but guess what though? But guess what? He had to do something,
Yeah.
and then
Because
he did it.
if he didn't resist Portland resistance and don't shoot Portland, we're gonna just continue to chip away at him and harass him. And I really think a part of it was he's trying to save his career.
Well, he just got the whole issue with the 48. That was the other thing, the 48-hour deal.
Yeah.
Remember the 48-hour
Yeah.
deal?
Oh, yeah.
What happened
I mean,
with that?
He pushed that. Guess what?
Yeah.
Well, the DA threw that out. But guess what though? We paid a lot for that.
Mm-hmm.
The department got a raise. Now my point is that if you throw the 48 hours, do I get my money back?
Right.
Taxpayers.
It really shows people in Portland how powerless they are, how they just really, the people of Portland really don't matter when it comes to those kinds of decisions. It's frustrating.
The 48-hour rule is a red herring. It has no meaning whatsoever. The only thing that the Bureau can do is they can order me to appear here today.
Right.
They cannot order me to talk. So what's the point of the 48-hour rule?
Yeah.
Any smart cop isn't going to talk.
Oh.
So 48-hour rule, who cares?
Yeah.
So it's a red herring. It's something it's a negotiation tool that never made any difference in the first place and doesn't make any difference now.
I think one of the things, and I really appreciate you, Don, for the time that we've been together. You've educated me real well. And in all due respect, I remember a guy named Smitty tried to get me on the force.
Yeah.
And I told him I couldn't, there's no way in the world I was going to do the Miranda rights. I mean, I'm going to do a job on you. You're not going to spit on me. So I couldn't, that was something I wasn't going to
And
deal
you know,
with.
that's an interesting point, the Miranda rights, because Don had been a cop for 5 years when they were created in '66, and
Yeah.
before that they never did. And I remember he was saying how when that change came around, all the cops were like, "What? We have to read people their rights, and we have
yeah.
to carry this card around." And yeah,
Yeah, but my point is that we need to really spend more time educating the public about what police work is. But the paperwork they normally have to fill out every time they do something this way. I mean, and there's a lot of other stuff. And then you got to understand, when a person gets shot by someone, it really hits that person big time. There's a lot of stress. It's called PTSD. They're finally understanding what that's all about. But it's not trying to be a goody-goody guy about this stuff. At my age factor aspect of it, hey, look, I just want to be safe. I don't want no problems.
right.
I pay my taxes.
You know, I have a question that's really been bothering me
Good.
after seeing so many problems of police pulling people over,
Right.
and that is, what are you supposed to do with your hands? How do you stay out of trouble?
Yeah.
This. Keep your hands visible where the cops can see them. No sudden moves. Don't
That's right.
reach forward, because I've seen some videos on YouTube. I mean, these cops, they're out-of-state cops. They're not Portland cops,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
the things they've done are insane.
Oh, yes. Oh,
You know,
yes. Oh,
Philandro
yes.
Castro, I mean, that situation was ridiculous. There was
Listen,
another
listen.
situation that happened, you know, get me your ID. And the guy's reaching for his ID, and then he's
Yeah.
like, hey, wait, and they shoots him. I mean, it's like, come on. you
So
know.
what do they do? What's the answer to that?
Keep your hands in where the
Well,
policeman can see it.
But you're told
Yeah.
to get your license.
But
or-
see, that's the thing. Those situations are less than 1%.
Yeah.
They're so rare, but they're the scenarios that we see on YouTube. And so a lot of people think all cops are doing that. They're not. 95% of cops are doing their job. They're doing a good job, and they're not shooting and killing people after they tell them,
But
"Let me
cops
see
don't
your
snitch.
ID."
Cops don't snitch on another.
Right.
That's the other problem that's in there.
Generally, yeah.
They just don't. They do not.
Yeah.
Hey, look here. You protect my back. I'll protect
Right.
your
Yeah,
back. I
right.
mean, in all due respect, we did it in the service.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that's not the question, remember. The question is, what does a person do? The driving.
I understand
Keep your
that.
hands
Okay.
in
That's why.
sight.
That's why
My
we.
license is in my pocket.
Will you get it for me?
Will you get it for me?
Right.
I have a gun in the console right here. I want you to know that.
Actually, what you're supposed to do is, if you have a weapon and you have a permit to carry, you're supposed to put your hands on the dashboard.
Yeah,
You're supposed to
that's-
put them right there, and then you're supposed to say, I have a weapon in the car. I have a permit to carry. There is a weapon in the car, and you're really supposed to keep your hands
Yeah.
there
All the
until
time?
they tell you to exit the vehicle. Yeah.
I can also say that I see these videos on YouTube,
Right.
and most of them are training films on how not to do police work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So so they're not good examples of what pull people over and shoot people. That
Right. and it's
they're
im-
training films on how not to do police work.
And it's important to remember, people see those videos and people think this is what all cops do.
Yeah.
And that's not
That's not true.
true.
Because-
that's not true. You know, we have to remember that.
And
Those are situations, they're less than 1%.
And the reason
Wow.
why we why it's so confused, we don't teach it in the schools anymore. The kids today is far different than when we were going to school, and we were getting the training because we had career day,
Right?
we had police, the whole 9 yards.
Learned how to march.
But the whole 9 yard. Okay, I mean it was kind of
Yeah.
like something to be, if you will, to be a cop, if you
Yeah.
will, in many ways.
Maybe that's what the schools should do.
Yeah, but they're not
is
doing it.
teach.
That's right.
Teach people do what the police officer says.
And this is the reason
there
why.
are-
This
yeah.
is why you have to do this. This is not because the police say do it. This is something that we signed off through the process and said this is what they do when you stop a car and you ask for this. This is not something that they created. And so you got to make that clear. And then at the same time, the police need to know that if you're caught doing it something differently, guess what? You get busted or
This
something.
is the thing. This is the thing about what you're saying. That's a really good point, Richard.
Yeah.
The thing is, there are a lot of videos and websites that offer information about how to conduct yourself after you've been pulled over by a police officer. But what we really need, we need billboards.
Yep.
Billboards
Billboards.
near
Really?
highways.
Yeah,
If you're
educate.
pulled over by a police officer, keep your hands where they can see them.
Yeah.
Don't be rude. Don't be
Communicate.
sarcastic. Don't be aggressive. Because police officers will interpret that aggression as a potential threat.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
A lot of folks
we
don't
need
have it.
billboards. We need billboards in Portland. You know.
Then a lot of folks, especially young folks, they may have smartphones, but
Yeah.
they're not looking at no education films.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like you said, I like
Yeah.
that. The
Yeah.
visuals would be good. Put it in the classroom. The classroom.
Yeah.
Somebody
Have teachers.
in
yeah.
a uniform,
Yeah.
uniform policeman
Yeah.
coming into the classroom, so folks know that it's not a scare tactic. But because there's some heavy stuff out there.
And they do that. Police officers do that.
And there could be problems at home where they said, well, just stay away from police or do this or
Right.
do that.
Right.
And you might have seen this too. That's the other
scared
thing.
of 'em.
I want to throw this
Right.
out to you just to show you how we're going down the road of this stuff, and it's not helping our image here in the Portland area about the i.e. the whitest city, all that kind of good
Right.
stuff. The first post I saw in regards to her, in fact, Don commented, but that first one was a musician guy, and he called her a hoe.
Oh, really?
That's right.
Yeah.
He called her a hoe on Facebook.
And-
And then I
and-
started
and-
thinking
and-
about
yeah.
well, now wait a minute. Facebook should have caught that.
Right.
Because they catch other
Yeah.
things, and if they don't like you, because they got folks looking at what you do, right, to a
Right.
certain degree. But they called her a hoe. Is it hoe something? Blah blah blah. You can check it out. I was gonna pull it out there for the
Yeah.
show, but see, you can't do that.
Well, that
Shouldn't do that.
harkens back to the people in Portland, the vocal minority, the anarchists, those people in Portland who absolutely hate law enforcement,
Yeah.
no matter what
Yeah.
they do, no matter what their gender is, no matter what their color is. They hate law enforcement. They hate police officers. They are deluded and really believe that they're all corrupt. They're all stealing. They're all raping. They're all these devils, and it's ridiculous because it's just not factual.
And that, right, and that's bad for a person to believe that when they're in a car and they're being told to present their license or whatever it is that the police
Yeah.
officer wants.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we agree. We got about 10 minutes. So now
Yeah.
we've been talking a lot about this, that, and the other, and I think that's hopefully the folks will take this show. It'll be on YouTube, and we're going to get that posted, and hopefully the media, if you will get the show, and do something, due diligence, if you will, and do an honest due diligence, and look at some of the things that we were talking about tonight, and go out and do interview some folks, if you will, because we're the public. All we want is safety and this, that, the other. You got my point? You know what I'm saying? So hopefully, and the mayor is understanding this. Mayor, you have to stick by your guns now. You're the mayor of the city of Portland, and you made a decision.
Yeah.
And it's all you. 'Cause the buck stops with you. I'm giving you that respect. Now you're gonna have to deal with it. You got to deal with the protesters, and I would say too, there were some things that were happening in the initial committee, if you will, in the selection process. And I would agree they should have had some of the protesters on those committees. I don't know if they were on there. Was any of those folks
They
on?
had some people from the community. They had a woman from the Lentz community and several other people, but none of the. There was no one from Portland Resistance or from Don't Shoot Portland, I don't believe.
And it should have been an open transparency. You should have come down right here at
Yeah.
cable and just put the
Yeah.
whole committee around and have the discussion.
They should have had all the names of the people listed.
No, I want
Yeah.
the faces. I want to see
Yeah.
the faces of the people
Yeah.
having that discussion about
Okay.
what they felt
I
about the
agree.
selection of a chief.
I agree.
You see what I mean?
Paper can do that.
He should have done that.
Yeah.
He should have done
He
that.
should have been more
Yeah.
transparent. I
and
agree.
in fact, in all due respect, and it's not too late. I think it's not too late. I think he should have that discussion with the
3
chief,
months.
and he introducing all the committee folks and whatever. Well, this is what we're doing, and then have them all raise their hand in terms of who supports it.
Right. I agree, because I remember reading about that, and the last couple weeks I've been like, why aren't they sharing the names? Why is
That's
everything
right.
so secretive? You know, why aren't the people of Portland being allowed to know what's going on? Why the secrecy? I resent that.
Yeah, that's
really
really,
do.
really sad. No, because the people who are demonstrating on the street, that's the issue. I want someone that can communicate with those folks.
Yeah.
You got me? That's what I've been doing. I mean, that's what we do. You know, we do this right on Village Digest. And but the bottom line, that if someone is commanding, if you will, a group of people to demonstrate, I want to talk to that person. Give them the opportunity to express themselves. Whether you like them or not, that's not the issue. The fact of the matter is, when they're demonstrating downtown, it's taxpayers' dollars. They shouldn't be doing that. But the bottom line, the only way you're going to find out is to sit them at the table in a public venue and say, hey.
Well, the other thing I would like to mention is that the reality is, you know, the Portland Police Bureau is always going to be here. Police departments are always going to exist.
Yeah, you got to have one.
And I'm saying this in reference to Joanne Hardesty running for.
Oh, yeah.
Running
Oh yeah,
for.
yeah, Joey. Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit.
see-
But she spent a lot of time in the Hood Police.
We saw her a couple years ago at Race Talks, and she was talking about how all
Yeah, I
police
remember that.
departments should be dismantled and replaced with citizen groups that would do police work. And I mean, it's so ridiculous that, I mean, I just have to bring that up. It's ludicrous. And I lost tremendous respect for her, because when she said those things, and she said it repeatedly on social media and at various Race Talks meetings, the fact is, that's never going to happen.
No.
That's never going to
You won't
happen.
have
We
to-
need
you-
to be realistic
No,
about
yeah,
the world. You know, dismantling police departments,
No,
that's never
yeah,
going to
no,
happen.
no.
She also doesn't understand about the 48-hour rule either. She's misinformed about that. You can't make people talk
Right,
unless you're considering waterboarding.
right.
So
Well, in all due respect, Don,
I'm not going to talk to you.
in all due respect, you can't even make people talk if you're not a cop.
Yeah, that's right.
Let alone just as part of the job
you know,
aspect of it. You got to understand. You got to understand when people do wrong, they don't sit there and be nice to you, but tell you this is why I did
Well,
something wrong.
another thing is that when police officers are accused of any misconduct, they have the legal right to have confidentiality respected. They have right to privacy. And I think more people need to understand that police officers have the same rights as American citizens as anyone else. Someone working for a plumbing company or you know, General Electric or whatever, they have the same rights to privacy while those investigations are being conducted. And you know, that's just the way it is.
Well, that's why the union exists. Let's be right up front with. That's why the union exists. That's why this thing comes up from the standpoint that the police is running the city. They basically say, hey, look here, we got to do something to protect ourselves. I mean, I realize we have the 5%ers on that, and the other, but you know, that's a weeding out process, exposure type deal. That's some things that we could do, if you will, to maybe get those folks out. But that's not an easy task. You know, folks get in and they're just human like anybody else. They have marital problems. They have kid
Right.
problems.
And the other thing is that police work is the toughest job in the world,
Oh,
and it is
geez.
utterly thankless. They're
yeah.
damned if they do and they're damned if
yeah,
they
oh,
don't.
yeah,
And
oh, yeah.
so many of these young critics, they have valid complaints about racism, about excessive force, about the mentally ill dying too often.
Oh, yeah.
But most of them don't know police officers. And if they did, if they considered them as human beings and got to know them personally, they would learn to like them. They would realize they bleed red blood like everyone.
Well,
you know?
wouldn't it be interesting if you'd ask any of the leaders or anybody who's in charge of this, that, and the other, say, well, I tell you what, why don't you become a policeman?
Right.
I'll cut the red tape and I'll put a
If you
uniform
want-
on you. I'll put a uniform on you, and I want you to come over here in this particular group over here, and I want you just to police that group.
If you want to see a really good video on YouTube about a local Portland citizen taking a Citizens Academy class and tanking Jesse Sponberg.
Oh, Jesse.
Jesse Sponberg took this class with some Portland Police Bureau trainers, and it is really funny to watch it because he did everything wrong. and he's been one of the biggest critics of Portland police, and yet he couldn't even do. They went through several scenarios. He did everything wrong. He was using excessive force. He was, pulling his pretend gun too soon. He did everything wrong. That video, it's on YouTube. It's an informative video because it shows this Portland activist, and he's a great guy. He does a lot of good work, but it shows him tanking during this pretend class, this Citizens Academy training, and basically just it illustrates how difficult it is to be mindful of what's going on and not overreact.
Tough job.
Yeah, and
Well, he did. Like I said, in all due respect, if I had my choice at the time, he ran for mayor.
Yeah, I know.
Imagine if he put a mayor hat on him. It'd be like night and day, if you understand what I'm saying. My point is that once you put that hat on, and you got that responsibility, I mean, we've done that in the service. I mean, that's the whole idea. When you put a hat on a group of guys, and when you pick them out for corporal or this, that, and the other, or first class, or
they
this,
become
that,
the hat.
it's a whole different ball game. And as if to say, well, I didn't know he had in it, but guess what? He's in charge.
Yeah.
And I got to do the job.
Well, I don't know. I really don't think he would be mayor material because he's got addiction
But
issues.
he has a right. No, he has a right.
Right, but he's got
Yeah.
addiction issues, and he's a little too emotionally volatile.
Yeah, but you got to follow him. I mean,
He does. He has a following.
If you got to follow him, maybe we might be able to get to him to tell him.
So did Manson.
No, we can't compare him.
Well, we
compare him to
we gotta-
Manson.
well.
He's a good guy. He does a lot of good things. But my
yeah.
point was, this video of him on YouTube shows him tanking during this Citizens Academy training, and it really illustrates how difficult it is to learn these skills. It's
Okay.
called police science for a reason.
Okay,
You know.
Well, we got 2 minutes left.
Yeah.
Let's just go around the table and give a last commentary
let 'em-
about.
Tell us what they're all about.
Yeah, right. What do you think about the police deal? What do you think now?
Me?
I mean, where are we going now?
I think that we need to give Danielle Outlaw a chance, and she's got, just like Daryl Turner said, she's got big shoes to fill.
Right.
Because I personally believe, I didn't like Mike Marshman, but he does have more experience than she does. But we need to give her a chance, and hopefully hopefully things will work out well. So.
Why do
Don?
these guys keep leaving?
Huh? Well, that's about
Good places. Why do they keep taking along?
It would be interesting if you had to talk with her. Trust
Good
me.
pension.
Marriages, pension, get another job. Don, what do you think? Real
Good
quick.
pension. Well, I think she's here. She needs to have an opportunity to do the right thing. But if she doesn't make changes in the police department, which are desperately needed,
Right.
it's not going to make any difference whether she's white or black or
Right,
male or
right.
female.
Right.
If she
Okay.
doesn't fix
Yeah.
the problem,
Right.
she's irrelevant.
I agree.
My last little piece is that she needs to make sure she get her 2 top deputy chiefs
Right.
Okay.
on the force.
Right.
I'd go back to Marshman right now and say, Marshman, come on back here, buddy.
Right.
I want you to be number 1.
Right.
Okay? And then I'll pick up this one. What's this other guy that was
DeLong.
DeLong.
Mark DeLong.
I'd get Mark DeLong and say, okay, fine, you're going to be number 2 deputy chief. And then now we're going to work.
Well, these two guys have the most experience. They would
Well,
be ideal
hey.
as support for her.
And they're staff material.
Right,
It's-
right.
Okay, we got
Okay.
30 seconds, and I want to
Well,
make sure we appreciate the crew
Oh,
that
yes.
has made
Thank
this show
you.
possible.
Yeah,
Yes.
really.
Really?
One of them, I know, I got suspect on one of them.
Okay.
But he runs everything,
It's nice to
It's
have
a good
professional
crew.
help.
Yes.
It is.
They are.
It's nice
They're
to have
awesome.
This is really
They're
professional.
They're awesome.
And I try
mean-
to follow instructions. I try to be quiet
Good
and not
folks.
rattle the table.
Well, again,
Yeah.
thanks very much, Rich.